This is the Carl DeMaio Show. We're giving you the story behind the story, and we're leading the fight to take back our state for a better California. So it is Labor Day. At least it's Labor Day when I'm recording this episode of the Carl DeMaio Show. Let's talk about Labor Day from the standpoint of the past and the present and the future. In the past, labor unions were formed to, quote, protect workers from management, really. The union in the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s would organize workers. They would go in, they would negotiate a contract. The economy was dramatically different than what we have today. You had a number of large companies. You had the Industrial Revolution. You didn't have a whole lot of government mandated regulations and protections for workplace safety, wage and hour, minimum wage, etc. Totally different economy, totally different paradigm. Fast forward to today. You have a very involved labor law, patchwork of regulations and cases and mandates and legislation. In California, if you take a look at the California Labor Law Digest published by the California Chamber of Commerce in the 1950s, it was a thin little booklet. It would give you everything you needed to know as an employer, as a manager, about rules and regulations for how you manage your workforce, how you have to give certain things to your employees and maintain certain conditions. Today, that digest published by the Chamber of Commerce is twice the size of a phone book, and we don't have phone books anymore. It's thick. It's like 5 inches thick, and no one can fully comply. And so my argument has been, while I don't have a problem with you joining a labor union, everyone has the right of assembly and association. They can give money to someone and negotiate their benefits, hire an agent, whatever. Labor unions no longer serve a meaningful, valuable purpose in society. I think that people might want to try to argue with that because they're from the labor union community, but you've got a very extensive network of rules, regulations, and laws that protect workers. And in our economy, with the diversity of opportunities for people, if you don't like how you're being treated, if you don't like the compensation you're getting, you can always go somewhere else and get a better job somewhere else if you're not feeling valued. But we do have unions. Declining membership in the private sector union ranks, because unions tend to have driven unionized companies out of business, making them less competitive. So union membership in the private sector has plummeted to an all-time low. But it's very healthy in the government sector, because if you get a government job, you are automatically enrolled in a labor union. And up until very recently, with the Janus decision, you were enrolled in a labor union whether you wanted to go into the union or not. That's right. Government employees were mandated to enroll in the labor union, and they were told they could not get out, that they had to pay their dues every month. Now, let me just stop and just ask the question. If you disagree with me that we don't need unions in the private sector, I think you're wrong, but we could debate that. You at least have to give me the government sector as a place where you don't need labor unions. Here's why. You don't have any hungry capitalists in the government sector. You got elected officials. You've got governors. You've got states legislators. You've got city council members, county board members. And if the union, if the management is mistreating the workers, number one, Darwin in the labor market will correct it because people won't want to work for the agency. But number two, you throw the bums out. You are the owner. You are the shareholder. You get to vote for those elected officials. And so spare me the notion that government politicians are somehow predatory and creating sweatshop conditions or not valuing or paying our government workers enough. Please, that is a lie. It's not necessary to have a union in government. But again, as a libertarian-leaning Republican, if you want to pay someone voluntarily to negotiate your compensation and benefits and to go stand up for you, fine. That's, by all means, you have a right to do that. But no one has a right to compel someone else to pay that fee for representation if they don't want it. And so the Supreme Court in June of 2018 handed down a landmark ruling called the Janus decision that allows government employees to opt out of having to pay union dues. And this is a decision that could alter politics. And here's why. Government unions take dues from their workers' paychecks and they put it into the union campaign account. The campaign account is then used to buy politicians by providing direct contributions to politicians as well as funding super PACs. The dark money of politics is really from not just corporate America, but from the labor unions, the government unions, who come in with millions of dollars in dark money super PACs, and that money is taken out of workers' paychecks without their permission and used to line the pockets of politicians and put them into office. And what do those politicians do? Oh yes, it's a sick cycle. The politicians elected by the labor unions with government union dues turn around and add membership to the union by expanding the size of government, by hiring more government employees, by growing the size of government. And in order to grow the size of government, what do? They raise taxes on you. So you see this sick cycle? You got labor unions who take money out of the government employee paychecks and they say, hey, we'll be back because what we're going to do is we're going to go off and buy us some politicians. Politicians are then going to vote to expand the ranks of our union by adding government employment, government positions. And in order to do that, we're going to raise the taxes on a bunch of people. That is the sick cycle. Now, along the way, they do get salary hikes and pension spikes. And the result has been that government employees earn far more than their counterparts in the private sector for doing the same work. Oh yes, every study that's been done, the Bureau of Labor Statistics keeps the data. It's a federal agency on payroll and rates of compensation for every category of a profession in our economy. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics data shows that government employees are earning 20 to 40% more in salary and benefits than their counterparts in the private sector. And so this is a broken system. The Janus decision allows us to fix the broken system. And if we can use the Janus decision to get people to opt out of union membership, not only do those individuals end up saving a boatload of money and keeping their paycheck, more of their paycheck, but secondly, it will drain the campaign accounts of big government politicians. And by draining their campaign accounts, we can drain the swamp. That's why it's so important that we get this Janus decision that was handed down by the Supreme Court out there to as many government employees as possible so that they know what their constitutional rights are. Now, coming up, you may know that I've partnered with the California Policy Center through Reform California, the organization I founded, to launch a project to educate state and local government employees as to their rights under the Janus decision to discontinue payment of dues to the labor union bosses in government. We need your help. So we're going to explain the project coming up when we are joined by Will Swaim of the California Policy Center. You're listening to the Carl DeMaio Report, but first these messages.
Carl DeMaio here. From rating our road improvement funds for bus and bike lanes to gas taxes and congestion taxes, politicians keep making it harder to drive. Traffic will only get worse unless we demand change. Join me, Carl DeMaio, by signing the petition at fixsandiegoroads.org.
Carl DeMaio thinks it's time to clean up the mess in Congress and take a new approach to solving problems. That's why Carl DeMaio is proposing the Fix Congress First plan. Make Congress live under the same laws the rest of us do. No special exemptions. Eliminate lavish congressional pensions and other perks. Force Congress to open up its own books and records to public review. Make Congress read the bills first before they vote on them. No budget, no pay. Permanently take away Congress's pay for every day the budget is late. If we want better results from Washington, we need to start by fixing Congress first. That's why it's time to help Carl DeMaio get his Fix Congress First plan enacted. Sign Carl's petition and help fix Congress first.
You're listening to the Carl DeMaio Show, and we're talking about labor unions, government employee unions, and I've never been able to figure out why we have government employee unions. What? The people that you vote for are going to take advantage of you? Oh, wait, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. But these unions have too much power, and they have all this money, and they buy politicians, and then they raise taxes, and then they give away the tax money in the form of higher salaries and benefits, and that's the crisis. That is really the scam, the pyramid scheme that we're trying to fix. Now, joining me on the show is Will Swaim with California Policy Center. He's been on my terrestrial broadcast show a number of times. Will, thanks for stopping by.
So good of you to have me. Thank you.
So let's talk about the Janus decision, the Supreme Court decision, landmark decision that says that government employees don't have to contribute to their union without permission. They can take their money back. How important has this decision been?
It has been, well, you called it landmark, I think, and it has, I'll use another metaphor, it has been a sea change in California. California has the largest number of government employees who are unionized by previous to the decision. They were required to join government unions. We had 1.5 million when we started. We're down now about 250,000 less than that, so 1.25 million, something like that. So that's about $250,000 out of the union's coffers.
Just since the Janus decision was handed down.
That's right. On June 27, 2018 to the present day, we're somewhere around 226,000
That's amazing.
Government union members opting out. And your group down in San Diego has played a tremendous role in that. Am I allowed to say that here?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Well, I mean, I stept down from Reform California, but they're still doing a great
Yes.
job, and I'm still backing them and whatnot.
Yeah, so we are the leaders in California. California is leading the nation on this, and it's not just because of sheer numbers. As a percentage of people who've opted out of their union, we're at about 12%, somewhere between 8 and 12%. That's better than New York, better than Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, you name it, Connecticut, Maryland, where higher percentages have opted out. There's a number of reasons to suspect why that may be so. Our unions tend to be really politically aggressive. It's expensive to live here. The unions are not responsive to their membership, and if you needed more evidence of that, it's while you try to opt out of your union because you've got the Janus decision behind you. If you're a government worker, the unions will do everything they can to stall you.
Well, let's talk about that.
Sure.
So if I'm a Joe or Jane government employee in California, I work for the county, and I go to the unionduesrebate.org website that we've set up. I fill out my information, and then I sign the letter, and I send it in. What does the union typically tell me when I send my letter in? Because we've had all sorts of interesting responses.
Yeah, well, if they're at all serious, they send you, the union will, typically the union ignores these letters. That's their first step. The second step is to...
Which is against the law. They have to. Legally, once you send the letter, it's clear as day, your dues have to be terminated the second that letter lands on their desk.
That's right. And that's why I want to say their step 2 is to say, no, that's not how the law works. We're allowed to keep you under contract because you signed a membership agreement at some point that said, even if you opted out, you would continue to pay us, which is a violation of your rights again, because it still insists that some outside entity, a government union, a teachers union, whatever, can take money out of your paycheck.
Without permission.
Without your permission. And the decision in Janus is crystal clear on this. I encourage people to go look up the Supreme Court website and go type in Janus versus AFSCME, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. Go read the decision. The last paragraphs are just absolutely amazing.
It's clear. It's like, you can't do this.
Clear. You can't do this anymore. It violates, and I think it's important, just if I can, to step back a little bit and talk about the constitutional principle at stake here. It is that the First Amendment says government, Congress it says, but government can't require you to belong to a political party. It can't require you to pay for somebody else's public speech. It can't herd you into a group that you don't want to be a part of. Government cannot do that.
You have the right to join affirmatively by your own choice, but they cannot automatically enroll you and compel you to maintain your membership.
You've got it. So I tell my liberal friends, imagine how you would feel if you took a government job in the DMV and they said, hey, welcome. Now you have to join the Republican Party.
And the NRA.
The NRA. Yeah. Now, you and I both laugh at that because we recognize it's absurd and the Democrats would never stand for it. But if what you're being required to join is a left-wing political action committee, it's totally okay.
Right. So the first thing they'll say is, we didn't get your letter. Second thing is, oh, no. Legally, we have the right to take your money, which is all false. What are some of the other things? Because I've seen the scare tactics and these obscene, absurd, crazy Looney Tunes claims that they're making.
They're incredible. One of the best cases, and this is about as exceptional as it gets, is a case that you brought to our attention. Your staff were working on this assiduously in San Diego. And you'll remember the name Michael Jackson.
I know. Not the one with the white glove.
There you go. Not the famed pop singer.
And the monkey and the 4-year-old child.
And the baby balanced precariously on a balcony.
That's right.
Not that guy.
Not him.
Not the late, great master of pop. No, this is Michael Jackson, who works for the University of California, San Diego. He is a kind of an events manager there, and he wanted to opt out of the union. So he sent in a letter that you guys helpfully provided him with that helped him opt out. And he sent it in, and they sent back a letter saying, no, you just signed up for the union again. And he said, no, I didn't. They sent him a copy of the contract he supposedly signed, and it's not his signature.
Nope, wasn't his signature.
Not his signature.
Clear as day.
Yeah. So we've got this kind of thing going on, not quite at that level, but we've got these fabricated claims about what your intentions were as an employee when you signed up with our union. We hear that an awful lot. We hear people say, you're eligible, but not now. You have a window to opt out. It's next month, it's next week, next year, whatever. You're obviously thinking of something very particular. What do you think?
Well, let's do rapid lightning round. True or false? If you opt out of your union, you'll lose your pension.
That is false.
That is false.
You.
Tell us why we're false.
Okay, so thank you for raising this, because this is another thing that they will do. They'll capitulate. They'll take your letter. They'll say they got it, and then they'll say, we'll even let you opt out, but you must know right now that if you do... Fair warning. We just want you to know that in addition to being a scoundrel, a scab, and a person who is going to free ride on our hard work, you're going to lose your salary benefits, your salary increases, all of your benefits, your pension, your
health insurance, your kids are going to eat cat food. I mean, and none of that's true.
None of it is true. The government unions, take the CTA, the California Teachers Association, every one of our government unions fought in court for the right to be the exclusive representatives in their area. Why? Because
whether or not you're a member.
That's right.
So if they negotiate a contract for their members, you are given the same salary increase, the pension increase and whatnot. And the pension and the healthcare benefits and the salary doesn't get paid by the union.
No.
It gets paid by the government employer. Your employer doesn't take anything away from you.
That is correct.
They just give you more in your paycheck because you don't have to take the dues out.
And so in fact, what you gain is the amount of money that you would pay as a union member, and that can be like $1,000 or more per year. I mean, this is a material number. It's not before taxes. This is after tax dollars. So it's a big amount of money for most of us. And worse, you will keep all of these benefits because you've paid for them. You're a worker. You're covered by this employer. So you effectively lose nothing. You lose access to...
Oh, wait, you get a Denny's discount, don't you?
I was going to say...
You get a Denny's discount and movie tickets.
Movie tickets.
You get a discount on movie tickets. So, I mean, seriously, when you say... if you really want those discounts, become a AAA member. There you go. You don't have to be a union member. You get the same thing.
Exactly.
Oh, you get a 10% discount at Denny's. Just tell them you're 65.
That's right.
So these unions that have been providing no value, who've been taking between $800 and $1,200 in California, depending upon what job you have per year after tax, they're now realizing as people are opting out, the only thing we can do is bully them, threaten them, lie to them, extort from them, or literally try to scare the crap out of them by saying, you're going to lose your pension. It's not true.
We've got cases, talk about bullying. We've got cases, and again, San Diego, where your team brought this to us, where a guy called me and said, hey, look, I opted out through the Reform California site, unionduesrebate.org and .org.com.
UnionDuesRebate.org, but I think we own .com, but UnionDuesRebate.org is simpler, more simple.
This person opted out through your site, and the day that his resignation came through, somebody posted in his teacher's faculty room, the teacher conference room, whatever they call that thing, on the corkboard, a note, a big piece of paper that said, union members who have decided to become freeloaders. One guy's name was on it, this guy, right?
Yeah.
So it's shame you in your office and, in your workplace and really bully you. So this kind of stuff is going on all the time.
It is going on all the time. And, these are the tactics of a dying enterprise.
Right.
When they know that they haven't provided good services, good representation, good value, when they know that they've been literally a front group for Democrat politicians to take money out of people's paychecks, and then that money eventually goes right in their campaign coffers. When the fraud has been exposed, they're going to get vicious.
Right.
And that's where your group also provides pro bono legal counsel to individuals to make sure that their rights are not infringed upon.
That's right.
Talk about that.
Well, we've brought a number of cases into federal court because, again, this is a conflict between state agencies, if you will, the state, the county, the city, the school district, and federal law. Federal law says, hey, there's a First Amendment. You can't require people to support speech they don't like or join associations they don't want to. Violates their First Amendment. So state law says, oh, yes, we can. We're part of the resistance here in California, and part of our resistance is to logic and understanding how the Constitution works. So we're filing all of our cases in federal court. And in the Ninth Circuit, we typically lose first. But we know that one of these cases from probably California will rise up to the Supreme Court again, and they'll say, no, we meant what we said on June 27th, 2018. But in the meantime, we've had unions actually settle with us. And there's a number of really reasonable reasons for them to settle with us. A, they can see the long game, that ultimately they are going to be probably held in contempt of some sort here for having violated people's, actually literally stop people from knowing about their Janus rights. Like, we have cases now we've uncovered in all over California. I mean, this is not just one isolated case. We have multiple cases where union officials have contacted local government agency IT teams, their information technology teams, and told them, hey, we need you to break into everybody's email inbox at work and take out anything that has to do with Janus rights. We want you to delete those emails.
Yeah, grab the word, do a word search for Janus. Was, by the way, the sheer fact that they're asking government IT staff to destroy government documents is a violation of the California Public Records Act request system.
Thank you. I hadn't thought of that part.
And so these people are liars, cheats, and thieves. And so this is a battle that we must fight. Now, for folks that are wondering, what can I do? Well, first, if you're a state or local government employee, go on to unionduesrebate.org. Sign up. Opt out. Keep your money. Number two, we need help marketing, okay? The reality is we don't know who's a government employee. You do. If you think through your Rolodex, if you think through your email box, your Facebook page, and think, what does Joan do? What does Billy do? What does Martha do? Oh, Martha's a teacher. Billy's a firefighter. Joan is a secretary at the county administration building. Guess what? You can give Joan, Billy, and Martha the gift of $800 to $1,200 of take-home pay back in their pockets each and every year. So what I need you to do is this. I need you to share the website, unionduesrebate.org, with all of your friends that you think may be government employees. Even if they're not, send it to your friends saying, send it to people who you know are government employees, and get them to opt out, because this will drain the coffers of the Democrats by draining the coffers of the unions. And by doing that, we're draining the swamp of Sacramento and Washington. So Janus decision, very important that everyone be part of implementing this and getting people to opt out of their unions. Will, thank you so much for the work California Policy Center does. What's the website in case people want to support your organization?
We're at californiapolicycenter.org.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And that does it for this episode of the Carl DeMaio Show. If you like what you hear, share it. Make sure that your friends subscribe on their app, podcast app of their choice. We're on all of them: iHeart, Spotify, iTunes. Plus, go ahead and send the website around to your friends, carldemaio.com or forabettercalifornia.com. and get people to listen on demand and contribute to the cause. We'll pick it up next time on The Carl DeMaio Show.
This podcast was paid for by Carl DeMaio for Congress. I'm Carl DeMaio, and I approve this message.